Yeah, extroverts. So we can remember them at school. They are usually the person who is sitting at the front row, and they are the one who is always taking up their hand. They like to answer all the questions, and that's really good, isn't it? And they like to lend their voice to a discussion. At the same time, whenever there's a group project, they'll be the first one to take their hand out to volunteer to lead the group. So they draw energy from being around other people. So with one-to-one tutoring, it is a different story. We notice that there's no one around, and that is what we are going to discuss today. So how to teach an extroverted student. Stay tuned. First of all, we need to be patient and to be a good listener, because they have the tendency to talk a lot. They just want to talk about their life, what happened at school, what they are going to eat for lunch or for dinner, etc., etc., and etc. So we need to listen to them patiently and just let them get out whatever that's in their system. And they may tend to dominate the conversation, and that's just how they are. We just accept them for what they are, and that is a good start into encouraging. And step number 2, when it is time for us to talk, so of course they like to talk blah 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 about all the things in their life, but when it is our turn to talk, we may need to encourage them to listen to us. We may need to stop them for a while and let them know, okay, can I continue with what I'm saying? So sometimes we may need to keep insisting to them to listen to us, hang on, and allow us to talk, and that way they will know that they need to change and they need to listen more, because sometimes it's very difficult for them to listen. They just want to talk, isn't it? They are not trying to be rude, it's just the part of their behavior. So we just have to adjust them and help them in a patient way. That way, point number 3 is to give them more reading and writing assignment. Because for an extrovert, sometimes because they like to be around people with group assignments, they'll be very good at it, presenting in front of the class. They are fantastic when it comes to that. But the thing is that when they have to do things on their own, especially with silent reading or writing assignments, they might find quite challenging. So it can really help for us to give them more reading and writing assignments, and to encourage them and to be positive and to generously commend them when they have done their assignment, or there's something sincere that we can comment about them. That would be a good thing. 4 is to hone his or her reasoning skills. Sometimes you might come across a student that start to talk about things that just does not make sense, and they might just react from their emotion, or it could be with the way they feel. So it is good to help them to hone their reasoning skills by asking WH questions. So what is this story about? Why do you think that is the case? And we try to prompt them with WH questions, and that will help them to be able to arrive at the proper conclusion, and they are able to reason well, and they are able to think logically. So that will be the way to. In terms of assigning tasks, with an introverted student, usually they like everything planned up logically. You need to explain to them and outline them what is required of them. So they really like it that way. But for an extroverted student, they just like to jump right into the subject. So the thing is that when you're trying to give him a task, instead of explaining too much, you may just need to explain the outline of it and then just hand it to them and allow them to do the assigned task. They might find it much more comfortable for them to do their own research. Then at the same time, if there's any questions they need to ask, they will be free to ask us whenever. And that is the way we can adapt to his or her learning style accordingly. And tip number 6 is to give them options. According to cfchildren.org, it says that choices are really important to extroverts. If choices aren't given, this is where a lot of chatter, arguments and questions of why we are doing it this way comes up. Giving them students options that centers whether it is really reading books, writing paper or science project themes helps them to keep them involved and engaged. So there you go. So hopefully you have benefited from this video, and I'll see you again in the next video.